Back in June, I put out my ranking LGBT anime series where we went through everything, and I mean everything. It became painfully clear just how hard it is to dodge red flags in queer media in order to find wholesome anime. So today, I've compiled a list of mostly green flag anime recs. Since nothing is perfect and no matter how good a show is, there's probably going to be some kind of problematic element, I did my best to find the least problematic ones to help balance out the scales. If you'd like to see the extended director's cut of today's video, I have it up on my Patreon, which you can find here and in the description. I've got a lot of queer anime related videos coming up in the future, so please consider subscribing so you don't miss them. So with all that being said, let's get into it. Tadaima Okairi is the story of a young family raising their small children and navigating the stigmas of being both a same-sex couple and a alpha-omega pairing. Yes, this is an Omegaverse, but honestly it's one of the tamest Omegaverses out there, so it is the perfect introduction into the genre. So be grateful that it was this fluffy pick instead. Tadaima Okairi is also a story about learning how to overcome your own trauma and learning how to empower and uplift yourself. Since we are calling out any possible red flags, I do need to disclose that there is a age gap relationship in this anime between Matsuo, who is in his 30s, and Yuki, who is in his early 20s. I couldn't find their exact ages anywhere, so if you guys know, please let me know below. Although it is a slow burn and Matsuo doesn't make any advances until Yuki is 100% sure that he wants to pursue something romantic, the relationship is there. As someone who read both the manga and watched the anime, I feel mostly okay with their relationship, but the age gap is still there, so it is my responsibility to disclose it. Other than that aspect, this is very much a green flag anime, and honestly the main way I'm retaining serotonin these days. Bocchi the Rock is very chaotic and very gay. Although the main focus is on our straight-passing main character whose social anxiety is so bad that I literally included her in my video essay about social anxiety in anime. Bocchi's brilliant idea for overcoming her anxiety is to join a band, and she is then adopted by extroverts. Only problem is she has to actually get on stage and perform in front of people, which she does not handle well. Bocchi the Rock is a beautiful and wholesome tale of overcoming your fear to pursue the future you've always dreamed of. For Kita, that future is one where she's able to get with the band's illustrious bass player Yamada. Her chaotic queer energy permeates throughout the story as she fangirls over her crush and does her best to start building a friendship, which she hopes to then turn into something more. The other queer characters are the drummers Ichija's older sister Seika and her girlfriend, who's only referred to as PA-san because she runs the PA. Seika provides the girls with that tough love honesty to prepare them for the music industry, while PA-san cheers them on and validates their hard work. Bocchi the Rock is one of my favorite anime from this decade and truly a must-see, especially if you're in the music industry. Kaze-san in Morning Glories is a quick 58-minute film about Yamada and Kaze, a high school couple as they navigate their senior year of school. As an established couple, we get to watch them explore their honeymoon phase, but also come to terms with what their future looks like. High school couples have a ridiculous amount of stress placed on them because you're either changing your future to be with your partner or giving up your partner so you can pursue your future. Sometimes you're able to find compromise, but a lot of times you're just struggling to find that balance and question what you're actually willing to give up. Is the cost of continuing that relationship worth possibly compromising your future? As the film progresses, we watch Yamada and Kaze start to grapple with this devastating choice. I thought the film did a good job at exploring these themes by doing it in a way where the couple never got toxic or started hurting each other over the stress. Overall, it felt very honest and realistic. It is so nice to have a GL that balances tackling difficult topics without turning to an overly tearful drama. Kaze-san in Morning Glories truly is that perfect balance. Liz and the Bluebird is for a very specific niche of people, those who like quieter, slow burn romances and band geeks. Since I'm both, this absolutely hit home. It's a full-length film at 90 minutes and it is so breathtakingly beautiful. Like, the animation in this went so much harder than it needed to. This is also in the Sound Euphonium anime universe and was based off of one of the books. We follow Nozomi and Mizore, a flautist and oboist who are tasked with performing the solo in an upcoming concert. This pushes the two girls together as they explore the origin of the piece, their friendship, and the growing romantic feelings between the two. What I absolutely loved about this is that there is a second story woven throughout the main one that explores the story of the musical piece that they're learning, which is its own love story in itself. Liz and the Bluebird is a slow burn and a very quiet one at that, but it never felt boring, dull, or the pacing was off. This film feels like that calm bestie you debrief with at the end of the day who doesn't really say much, but she fills the room with her presence and is honestly the perfect way to end a stressful day. Cherry Magic is a series I never thought I was gonna put as a green flag, especially after how hard I went off on it during my ranking LGBTQ video, part 1. But after y'all heavily encouraged me to rewatch it, I did. And even made a video which deep dives my evolved thoughts on this anime, which you can watch here. Long story short, I have now taken a hard look at all the red flags I was worried about and have greatly reduced my criticism of them. We follow Adachi and Kurosawa, two co-workers who traverse their new romantic relationship after Adachi gains the power to read minds and learns that Kurosawa is batshit in love with Adachi. Their journey to growing closer empowers Adachi to gain confidence and really come into his own. It's pretty rare to get a BL about grown-ass adults, especially adults in their 30s, so this series was especially impactful on the community. One slight red flag I do need to mention though is that there is once again an age gap relationship, this time between 23-year-old Wataya and 30-year-old Suge. However, their power disparity is mostly corrected before they start a relationship, and from what I watched, it seems mostly healthy. Overall, I have been happily proven wrong by Cherry Magic, and now feel more comfortable than ever recommending it as a green flag. Tokyo Godfathers is one of the most monumental pieces of queer media. Not just anime, but queer media in general. Coming out in 2003, it is still ahead of its time, in the way that it addresses complex topics like social acceptance of the queer community, how we treat the homeless population in general, and how lack of mental health help can leave people in impossible situations. This does have a lot of green flag characters and elements, but it also shines a harsh light on the uncomfortable treatment that the LGBTQ as well as homeless communities face. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it does get pretty ugly and verges on red flag territory. But I do feel like it was important to include because you can't really talk about these topics without also exploring the harsh realities of what it's actually like. Tokyo Godfathers is about a trio of homeless Tokyo residents who discover an abandoned baby on Christmas. Emboldened by the holiday spirit, they decide to take it upon themselves to find the baby's mother and reunite them. This leads them through a plethora of wild and unhinged adventures, which climax in a truly spectacular way. At the end of the day, it all comes down to building your chosen family, learning to accept and support your community, and keeping each other going, even on your worst days. And there is no bigger green flag than that. Senpai as an Otoko Noko is one of the most beautiful and meaningful pieces of queer media that I have ever encountered. This anime has done so much for me and my own journey of coming out as non-binary. All of the characters go through such incredible and powerful character growth that it's hard not to just wave green flags in every episode. We follow Makoto, whose fluid gender expression is a popular topic of discussion at their their school. One day they're confessed to by Saki, which takes them completely by surprise. Since Makoto presents female at school, but they are AMAB, they decide to reveal themselves, and instead of the assumed rejection they're expecting, Saki embraces them with open arms. Makoto doesn't know what to feel, and when their childhood friend Ryuji confesses his feelings, things get even more complicated. What I loved about this anime is that instead of just solely focusing and lamenting over a love triangle, it turns so much more into an introspective piece, as each character explores what their gender identity and sexual orientation means to them. Senpai Isn't a Tokonoko is one of my favorite modern LGBTQ anime, and I truly do believe that it is a cornerstone for genderqueer, gender fluid, and non-binary representation in anime. Sasaki and Miyano is the green flag rec that all of your BL besties will not shut up about it. It's become their whole goddamn personality, and they already have 5 acrylic stands, all of the manga, and endless phone wallpaper saved to their phone. So, does this green flag goldmine live up to the hype? Actually, yes. Sasaki and Miyano is one of those slow burn romances that really takes its time to get there. But when it does, that high will sustain you for a whole goddamn week. For some, the slow burn might be a little too slow, but if you go into it with the mindset that it is much more about the friendship, slice-of-life anime with a dusting of romance, you will enjoy it a whole lot more. One of the aspects that I love the most about the show is that it's a BL about BL fans who share their love for BL with so much meta commentary, and by doing so, they realize some big truths about themselves. The green flags really shine in Sasaki and Miyano because of just how slow and cautiously they treat the romance, prioritizing consent and comfortability above everything else. What a concept. After the horrific minefield of trashy non-con BL, Sasaki and Miyano truly is that light at the end of the tunnel. Sweet Blue Flowers is hands down the most realistic depiction of queer high school relationships I have ever seen. This isn't your standard candy-coated love conquers all type of anime either. It is brutally realistic in showcasing the most vulnerable stages of a relationship between the highs, lows, and very real-life consequences there are to bad behavior. Our characters experience a crash course of learning how to make hard decisions, growing the confidence to validate themselves, and becoming self-sufficient. One of the most intriguing elements to me was the exploration of the concept of closure. I think so many of us believe that if we have closure, we can suddenly start moving on with our lives, and we desperately need that closure to be able to move on. But this anime clarifies that the bulk of the time, life will never give you closure. Life will be unsatisfying, cruel, and brutal, and you have to learn how to pick yourself back up so you can move forward. There is a red flag that I do need to mention though. The anime starts out with Fumi coping with the end of a one-sided romantic relationship that happened with her cousin. This storyline isn't explored much other than Fumi dealing with the sadness and betrayal of its ending, but since it was included and I'm being transparent about red flags, I needed to mention its presence. Sweet Blue Flowers is just so wildly underrated, so if you're looking for a truly wonderful queer love story, I cannot recommend this enough. And finally, we have Wandering Sun, which explores the trans experience from both a AFAB and AMAB perspective, and it does it absolutely beautifully. We follow Shuichi and Chizuru, 2 elementary school friends, as they enter middle school. They start learning more and more about what their gender identity means to them, and it opens up a whole new world. As they start exploring transitioning, we witness the stark difference between presenting in public and the consequences for living your truth. When Chizuru, who is AFAB, shows up at school in a boy's uniform, they are complimented and overall supported by their classmates. But when Shuichi, who is AMAB, shows up in a girl's uniform, they are shunned across the board, sent to the principal's office, and then sent home. As the show progresses, the two explore their identity and learn how to live their true, authentic selves. What helps even more is when they're able to find adults and LGBTQ mentors to help encourage their journey. And their bravery and courage in turn even inspires others to start exploring their own identity. It is so important to have anime and media that explores gender identity and sexuality, and Wandering Sun is one of the best entries on this list. And it's made even better because it gives representation to younger teens and middle schoolers who are having to grapple with their gender identity, hormones, and body dysmorphia all at once. I am so grateful that this series exists, and I really hope that this video can help make it more visible to the larger LGBTQ community. There were a number of anime that I wanted to include, but the red flags were a little too much to ignore, and I just really didn't feel comfortable having them in the main part of the video. But they are just so good that I had to mention them in the honorable mentions category. First off, we have Yuri on Ice, which is overall just a fantastic anime. You know it, I know it, your friends know it because they won't shut up about it. Me and my friends had a meltdown over the movie being canceled. We're all in it. It is a wonderful story about learning how to validate yourself as you grow the confidence to become the person you've always wanted to be. So, why is an iconic anime in the honorable mention section instead of the main section? Well, that's because there is a ridiculous amount of fat phobia in the first couple episodes. Like, Jesus, really? There's also that one character who's head over heels in love with his sister, but we're all just kind of cool for it for some reason. We're just gonna totally repress his existence. Yuri on Ice is still a great anime, but because of those red flags who do lessen considerably throughout the show, I put it in this section instead. Up next, we have Dokusei, which is one of my all-time favorite queer anime love stories. We follow a pair of awkward high school boys clumsily figuring out how to make it work and being messy as hell in the process. It is a beautifully written and animated film, which left me running to the bookstore so I could buy the manga to find out what happens next. The reason why it's here and not in the main part of the video is because they just had to include a romantic plotline of one of the teachers going after Sajo. Like, why you gotta do me like that? Thankfully, before the line is fully crossed, Kusakabe rescues Sajo and bitch slaps the fuck out of their teacher. Dokusei could have been a damn near perfect anime if it wasn't for that atrocity. But I still love this anime too damn much to not include it, flaws and all. And finally, we have Flowers and Asada, which is a beautiful Yuri-coded slice of life about a high school broadcast club and the expansive world of spoken word poetry. Our main character, Hana, is slowly pulled out of her shell by the extroverted Mizuki, who helps Hana share her gifts to the world. I absolutely loved this anime, but the Yuri is very Yuri coded, like way in the background. I clocked it pretty easily, but it's not even officially listed as a GL, so this could have all just been me reading into it, but I really don't think it is. Like, they literally say that they like each other. Like, just look at how they look at each other. So I've made the executive decision to include it as a LGBTQ rec. So to wrap things up, these are my favorite current green flag recommendations. I'm most likely going to do a part 2 in a couple years because I'm going to be watching so much BL and GL because we're going to be doing a ranking BL anime series and a ranking GL anime series. So if you have any recommendations, definitely list them below. When it comes to green flags, it is honestly such a difficult call to make. Like, even with these listed, there's usually some kind of of red flag you're gonna find, because unfortunately humans do be acting like humans, and we have a terrible track record. Even when it comes to red flags, as much as I've yelled about them, I'm actually not opposed to dark, fucked up anime. I always just want to provide my audience with those possible trigger warnings so they can proceed with caution if needed. More than anything, I prefer to educate about red flags rather than judge people for what they consume, unless it's like CP or some unforgivable shit like that. It's important to be able to recognize red flags, because the more you're familiar with them, the more you'll be able to clock them in real life and protect yourself. But it's also important to recognize green flags, so you can have a blueprint to look up to remind you of the respectful treatment that you deserve. At the end of the day, I just want y'all to consume what's right for you. And when all else fails, watch some of the fluffy ones from this entry and replenish those serotonin, because Lord knows we need them. If you'd like to watch the extended director's cut of today's video, I have it linked in the description and pinned in the comments. Shout out to all of my Patreon producers, including Sakura Sky, Karen Miriam Goldberg, Jeff Friend, Horsey Bread, and a special shout out to Legion Zero. Next week, we are finally going to get to my review of Alien Stage, which I am so excited to share with all of y'all. So I will see y'all back on the 16th for that. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. I hope all of y'all have been able to stay safe and protect yourself since the last time I checked in with y'all. We're just continuously maneuvering this surreal haze of crumbling democracy and fascism as we laugh cry our way through the pain. I want to remind y'all that this space here on this video and on my channel is for us, and I will 100% dropkick any bigot who fuck with it, so please tag me if you see that shit. Creating and maintaining queer spaces is more important than ever, and I always want you guys to feel safe, valid, and loved whenever you watch one of my videos. Here are some mental health resources for anyone who needs them. They're up on the screen, but they're also linked in the description for easy access. Please take care of yourself and protect your peace. Thank y'all so much for sticking around, and I'll see all of y'all on the next one.
I crave that source from you.